This is the Galaxy S23 Ultra, which is currently one of the most premium phones available in the Android market. It has many advanced features and options, but it's important to note that having a lot of features doesn't always make a phone great. The implementation of these features is just as important. After using this phone for a few months and receiving software updates, I am now giving a thorough review to answer whether or not Samsung has made a phone that justifies its high price. Now let's get started. To save some time in this review, I will only touch briefly on the features of this phone that are similar to the last year's S22 Ultra. The main focus of this review will be on the areas that have either undergone significant changes or that are noteworthy and require a detailed discussion. From my perspective, there are 5 key areas that are almost the same in this phone as compared to the previous year's device. The first area that is similar to last year's phone is the design, with almost everything remaining unchanged, except for a slightly less curved display and slightly boxier edges. Although I appreciate the less curved display in particular use, there is still a noticeable difference between this phone's display and a flat display like the one found on iPhones. Apart from this minor alteration, everything else is almost identical to last year's super premium phone, making this phone feel equally premium. The only aspect that disappointed me was that the larger than expected sheen at the bottom of the display didn't receive an update, considering that even cheaper Samsung S23 phones have evenly sized and minimally sized bezels, or that iPhones have had consistent bezel sizes since the iPhone X. It's surprising that Samsung hasn't addressed this issue on their flagship device. It makes me wonder why Samsung has not yet been able to fix this problem on their highest-end devices. Now moving on to the S Pen. Even though I rarely use it, if I had to pick between a smaller bezel or having an S Pen, I would choose the S Pen every time. It's worth noting that this is another key area that is almost identical to last year's S Pen. It's fast, accurate, and incredibly satisfying to use. And so it's hard to blame Samsung for not making any changes to the S Pen, since it seems like they have already reached the pinnacle of how good it can be. Moving on to the display, it's incredibly sharp, smooth, and can get really bright even in direct sunlight. However, I must admit that it's not the brightest display on the market anymore, as the latest iPhone 14 Pro lineup has even brighter displays. Samsung's DEX-MODE, in which a smartphone connected to a TV or monitor can act as a laptop computer, has been around for a long time. However, I decided to test this mode on the S23 Ultra. You can connect your Galaxy S23 Ultra to a monitor or smart TV to power a desktop experience. You can run DeX wirelessly on any Miracast-enabled display, including Samsung's new smart monitors. If you don't have a Miracast display, you can connect your Galaxy S23 Ultra to your monitor via an HDMI to USB-C cable. Pair a keyboard and mouse for a full workstation. The phone can also be used as a touchpad, but it's not like controlling the phone with a touchscreen, as there are delays during wireless data transfer. In general, in DeX mode, the phone really does provide a PC-like interface. There is a button menu with application icons, date and useful indicators. You can open several windows, change their size, transparency options, move them around, and expand them to full screen. For me, DeX is an interesting feature that works stably, but better over a wire, but it's still a mobile operating system that tries its best to imitate a desktop operating system. Alright, let's now discuss how Samsung has improved this phone over last year's S22 Ultra. The first area of improvement is battery life. This year, Samsung has stepped up its game significantly, and that's largely thanks to the new Snapdragon Gen 2 chipset, which is fortunately found in all versions of this phone. This chipset is known for its excellent optimization and efficiency when it comes to battery life. When combined with other under-the-hood changes, the result is truly impressive battery life. Now let's talk about another area where Samsung has significantly improved the S23 Ultra over its predecessor: software and performance. One of the major factors behind this improvement is the more powerful Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset that the phone is equipped with, along with enhanced RAM capacity. Thanks to this, the phone can hold a larger number of apps in memory for a longer period of time than any other phone I have ever used. However, the most significant change Samsung has made to enhance the phone's smoothness and fluidity is by introducing improved animations throughout the user interface. To provide some background, the phone comes pre-installed with One UI 5.1 based on Android 13, which is the most significant software upgrade Samsung has ever released. Despite having top-notch hardware, Samsung phones in the past never felt as smooth as other Android phones due to a perceived delay in interaction caused by an additional layer between the user's finger and the phone's display. So the fact that Samsung has been able to improve the software experience across their entire lineup with the One UI 5.1 update is definitely worth noting. It's great to see them investing in software optimization, which ultimately benefits all Samsung users, not just those with the latest and greatest devices. The thing is though, One UI 5.1 has been shipping to older Samsung phones since the S23 lineup was released, and it's also helping them to feel a lot smoother as well. So this is very welcome improvement that is not just limited to this phone, which is definitely something to keep in mind. Now there is one final aspect of this phone that I haven't talked about yet, which is the cameras. The camera upgrades on the Samsung Galaxy S23 may not be as significant as advertised, and the changes between this year's device and last year's device are relatively minor. The main camera has been upgraded from a 108MP to a 200MP shooter. But unless you use the 200MP mode, the resulting images look similar to last year's main sensor. Additionally, using the 200MP mode results in large file sizes, and the processing is not as impressive as in the final results. The rest of the camera experience, such as the 3x and 10x telephoto lenses and portrait mode, feel nearly identical to last year's device. However, the camera assistant feature may decrease image quality, so it's recommended to avoid using it. The stabilization system has been upgraded, resulting in more stable videos, but videos shot with the 10x lens may have visible stutters due to the stabilization having to work extra hard. And the other thing I have noticed is how much image quality suffers when shooting in darker environments, where there is still a bright part of the image visible in the shot. I'm quite pleased with the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra overall, despite the fact that many of the changes from last year's S22 Ultra are relatively minor. The improvements in battery life and software performance are particularly noteworthy, and I appreciate the continued excellence of Samsung's telephoto lenses and portrait mode. However, the camera upgrades may not be as significant as Samsung made them to be, and there may be some issues with image quality in low light environments, but overall, I still consider the S23 Ultra to be the best ultra premium phone currently available and would definitely recommend it to anyone looking for a high-end device. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.